She was very happy about working with the children, yes. They were nice little youngsters, too. If one of her babies had lived, it would have been about the age of the youngest. And that, I think, emotionally was very tender to her.
She identified very heavily with the orphans of the world. She wanted to take care of children, you know, to get rid of the way she was taken care of and to take care of children the way she would want to have been taken care of. Oh, I think absolutely. Absolutely.
So many people are afraid of being vulnerable. She wasn't. She was vulnerable. You know, I would well up in tears sometimes when in fact, I must admit that I sat there and cut a sequence and I was crying. Because if it's honest here, I'm an honest guy. If that film is honest, I'm going to react to it, believe me.
After each day's work, Monroe sought reassurance from editor David Bretherton, the first man to sift through the dailies and see how she looked on the screen.
So she'd have me look right in her eyes and say, "Was I all right?" And I said, "God, you were marvelous. You wouldn't just say that." And I said, "No, you know me well enough to know that I wouldn't just say that." I said, "No, it was absolutely beautiful." And I really meant it. The amount of time that was spent on trying to get her on the set was something that was almost unbelievable. I mean, the patience that the crew and especially the director, and I'm sure the head office had, were extreme. And they went through hell trying to get it on film. That's the one. That's the baby. Isn't that sweet? She got a kick out of it. And if somebody was, you know, everybody's saying she was difficult. Now here was something that was more difficult than she was, in effect, you know, and because you can't scold a dog into doing the right thing, you know.
Jack, come here, Jack. Let's get him back there, boy. Jack, come here. Get over here. That was very good.
Yeah, he's getting good.
My memory, I remember being with Cukor at the time, was that we were both astonished that she had gone and angry. Cukor particularly was angry. You know, he was starting to feel, I think, a kind of helplessness in the situation, that regardless of what he did, regardless of what the studio said or something, you know, she was going to get her way.
Oh, no, we knew a couple of weeks in advance. No, we knew. Well, I didn't see written permission, but we all knew she was going. She did have permission. Everybody knew she was leaving. And they were going to shoot around her.
They were very upset, and so was I, and that was stupid. And had I been more experienced, I said, "Marilyn, I'll go with you. We'll get more publicity for the picture," which would be the natural thing to do. I should walk with a sign saying, you know, something's got to give, instead of worrying about whether she's gone or what the studio thinks. And, I mean, immediately the studio should have been alerted. We should have had our own cameramen there. With her and the president, she's running back. I mean, that's what you would do, instead of, how could she go? Man, how do you know I haven't seen you on the set in days? And I said, furthermore, we're shooting her in a negligee. How do you pad the breast? She said, "You're naive. You do it from underneath the breast with tape." I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that." I said, "But if you think that I'm going to tell Monsieur Reese that her breasts are too big, you're mistaken." She said, "Okay, then I'm going to pad mine." I said, "Those lovely breasts you're not going to pad." It would be criminal. She said, "No, I'm going to pad them, and you're going to have to redo all my costumes."
I had the robe, and when she finally come up, like, put her arm, look out of the pool and put her arm over her boob to hide it, and she made me get right by the camera all the time like he is right now, and if I could see anything I shouldn't see, say so, and she wouldn't, you know, let him print the scene.
Dean was wonderful.
Dean loved her.
He was just very patient and understanding. And when he was waiting, he'd be in the back swinging his golf ball. Had a club with him, and he'd go behind the set and just
swing it away.
Put some shots.
Dean Martin never said a word. He sat in his dressing room, and I mean, he knew I was young and worried and inexperienced. He would come and comfort me instead of me come and comfort him.
And I brought it back to the studio, and I was told by the assistant director not to bring that cake out until 6 o'clock because they were going to get a full day's work out of her. So we left the cake in the prop room, and 6 o'clock we wheeled out the cake with all the sparklers on it.
It was a pretend celebration.
And she felt that, you know, it was a very sad birthday, that because of all the troubles with the picture that were happening and all that. And she always looks at that photograph where she's, I guess it's on the set, and she says, you know, I may be smiling, but my eyes are dead, you know, because she wasn't smiling on the inside. It wasn't working. You know, they would probably thrown it at her if they would have been honest.
I didn't believe him for a minute. I don't think Q-Court did. I don't think anybody on the crew did.
She wasn't out partying. She wasn't out doing anything. She was just being miserable.
Yes, this is a sick woman, and also feeling this is also a movie star. This is a movie star who is getting her way. What she's doing because she's a movie star, and doesn't give a damn about anybody else, and is being destructive and self-destructive.
She was just in a terrible place by this time.
She was terribly upset. But she couldn't believe that the studio had fired her. That was very difficult to accept.
I mean, it was like she was gold-bricking, and that she was doing this as a willful child. And, I mean, I think she felt really degraded by it.
Even with your own children, there comes a time when you have to make decisions, that something can't continue.
Something's got to happen. Something's got to give is what it was. Something's got to give, and the studio said, I've taken all I can, and I think they justifiably did.
The dean said, and he sat right here in the dressing room, in the front of the dressing room up there when we found out she was gone. And somebody from the studio came over there and said, well, we're going to go ahead and do it with Lee Remick.
What?
He said, no, we're not going to do it with Lee Remick. And that was it. And that's when I heard him say that about Marilyn and walked off.
She felt really proud that he would stand by her, and that really pleased her. And I remember, I think she came and you know, showed me the headline, no Monroe, no Martin, or something like that it was, and she was really tickled by that.
We were with her Thursday before the Saturday that she passed away, and she was as happy as we've ever seen her. Anticipation of going to work, healthy, good shape physically at that point.
I heard that we were going to do the picture, okay, and we're going to go back to the picture. I called the Wednesday before she died, and I talked to her. Oh, the conversation was we were going to go back. We're going to go back and work. She was real up.